starting to rain a little bit, so I'm going to pack up under my tarp here. Doesn't seem to be bothering Mr. Bunny at all. I'm now on the water at 7:25. Got a quick paddle down to the next portage into Lake La Muir. It's a bit of a cloudy day. Looks like it's going to be overcast for most of the day. At least the wind isn't too high at all. So hopefully I'll be able to troll down and maybe catch something for dinner. So by far, one of the most dangerous things on any portage that I can think of are actually these bridges that the park puts in. At this time of year, well, normally if it's dry, it wouldn't be a problem. With the wet weather that we're having, as well as especially in fall when leaves start to coat them, then they are slick. You might as well have ice skates on. So it'd be interesting to know if there's more injuries on portages due to these than there is for the rock gardens or steep hills that you have to traverse. I take these very slowly. They're also not always level, and that's just the nature of where they're put in swampy areas, because they'll shift, but yeah, very slippery. Lake La Muir, gotta go around that point and then all the way down to the end of the lake. So when I get out around that point, that's probably when I'll start fishing to go down the lake. There is a bit of a breeze, but it'll probably be at my back once I get around that point, so we'll troll with the wind. Well, just had one of the scariest paddles I've had in a long time. So I came down the north side, which is the far side of the Lake La Muir, and the wind did get from my back, but the fetch on the lake is so long that by the time I got down towards the end and had to cross this bay to where I am now, from that point where the swamp is, I was basically sideways to the wind. So I was going, probably trying to do a 45-degree downwind, but the wind kept catching the stern and pushing it sideways. So yeah, that wasn't fun. I'm gonna take a breather for now. Needless to say, I didn't fish. Pretty little pond at the end of La Muir. Actually just saw an osprey fly over, flew up towards the lake. Down at the end of the portage, there's actually a osprey nest. So that's probably where it came from. So there is an osprey nest. It's not at the portage, it's on the little island. It's a big pile of sticks, and then the bird's sitting on top right now. This area is perfect for it because this whole pond is shallow, so it'd be a good hunting ground because they fly down and grab fish right out of the water off the top. They're also they're known as fish hawks. They were decimated, though, in the 70s due to DDT, which made their eggshells very fragile, so a lot of the nests would just fail. Actually, speaking of which, when I came down La Muir, I came by a pair of loons with 2 chicks still in down. At this time of year, it's really late for them to be still downy chicks. They were young. I can only assume that they had lost their first clutch and then did a second clutch, but whether or not these will survive, because it's mid-August now, they start migrating probably end of September, so I'm not sure if they'll have time to fully fledge. They were that young. So I count 10 mergansers. Could be a little bit wrong with that, but quite a few hanging out. They seem to have very large broods. I don't know if that's because they typically lose a bunch, or it's just that's what they do. But you do see an awful lot of them here in the park. Pretty much on every waterway and lake you'll see them. Well, there's the next portage into Hogan. That's the lake I'm spending the night on. I was planning on going down to the far end, but with the wind that's up, I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to motor around the South Bay, where it's swampy area, potentially moose area, and then find a campsite on the south side just to stay away from the big waves today. It's just not worth it. It'll just be a little longer paddle to the next portage tomorrow morning. There's another osprey nest. This one is close right to the portage, so I'm assuming this is the one that was mentioned in Jeff's map. Jeff's map's about a decade out of date though at this point, and I don't think this one's being used. I haven't seen anything fly up and around from it, so I don't think so, but could be. They just might not be at home right now. Pretty nice takeout for the portage. And since the logs or the boards are rough hewn, it's not slippery at all, which is kind of nice. A little bit confusing, to be honest. I'm gonna go right. Okay, I guess I could have gone left either way, because it does join back up. Must be for when the water must be higher, a drier route maybe. So this is the put in for Hogan Lake. Have to go all through this swamp, which is alright. There's a frog, so you can get a better shot of him. This is the creek that comes out of La Muir into Hogan. So I took the other trail to come back to go get the canoe. And there's this big open clearing, which makes me wonder if it was an old logging camp or something to that effect. I'll have a look at Jeff's map, see if there's any mention of it, and then maybe stop here on my way back and check it out. The more of this I see, this has got to be an old logging skidding road at least, as to how wide it's been cut. It's not a natural portage being this wide. Jeff's map did have an indication that there was a road or an old logging road through here, so definitely what I'm hiking on now. Well, really haven't found anything in here. So it could just have been a laydown area for logs before they transported them out. I love paddling these rivers like this. Calm, flat, going with the current. Just cruise along. And yeah, it's longer distance because they wind so much. But you never know around these bends what you might see. So that's why I like them. No wind to fight. Calm and relaxed. Old beaver lodge. I can't even zoom it now. Maybe used as a muskrat den. Coming out to the main part of the lake, main lake. This whole river coming in has been like this. Lily pads everywhere. I'm going to stick to the south side of the lake to try and make sure that I stay out of the wind, because the wind is still up, it's just not here at this point. Big cliff faces on this lake. Probably be gorgeous if the sun comes out in the afternoon, but it's been like this all day, cloudy, so not sure we're going to be able to see stars tonight or not. I suspect not, even though this is the peak tonight. So I'm at the south end of Hogan in the provincially significant bog or marsh that's over in this area. I was hoping there might be a moose. No such luck. But there is an old cart trail, which is an old logging road that you can take, and it can loop and it'll match up to another portage that goes into, and I'm not sure what lake because it's off the edge of the map, but thought I'd stop here for lunch. It's windy enough, keeps the flies down before heading off to my campsite on Hogan. There's the remains of the bridge that crossed this area for the logging. So it's just a bunch of logs that they've cut down and then would have done more, obviously. Surprisingly, there are footprints and even tire tracks along here. Kind of surprised. Didn't think it was actually used anymore, but I guess as an easy access for maintenance people, it makes sense. I do know the park is riddled with roads, logging and maintenance and the like. Heading back out to Hogan now. Find a campsite for the night. Okay, so another scary crossing to the site that I wanted. Actually, this isn't even the site I wanted. I wanted to get further down the lake, but I'm not risking it. I came very close to dumping a number of times across this past bay that over here. Even then, I didn't even get to the site. The wind and the waves blew me further down probably 100 feet or two down beyond a rock over here, and I walked the canoe up the shore. You can see the wave action. A little bright right now, but it's crazy right now. It's almost stupid doing it. The site I saw people at, they left right after I went by the site, so I could have stayed there, I guess, but it didn't look bad from where I was, but yeah, that was a mistake. Anyway, I'm going to chill out here for a bit before moving on, or not moving on, making camp here tonight. So I'll show you around the site. It's a big open site. Lots of spots for tents. All the way back there. I've set up back here. Good breeze, keep the bugs off. Still have to put bug screen on the over top of the hammock, but that's about it. Great big fire pit. People have left me wood. I don't think I'm going to bother tonight. I think I'm just going to use my stove. Plus, there's socks in there that I don't really want to smell burning. So, anyway, yeah, so that's the site for today. Wind has not died down. I've seen a couple parties going down the lake. All good for them. I'm hoping this will die down in the morning at least, because I do have to cross the lake to the right to get to the portage when I'm going back to Catfish Lake for tomorrow night. So up on the rocks, there was a pair of peregrine falcons that just flew off of it, buzzed right over my campsite, fought above it for a minute or two, and then flew back and flew up into one of the crevices. I think they then flew off, but I'll wait because I could hear them screaming at each other first, so I'll wait and see if I can get a video of it. So it's neat to see that they're nesting up there. There is a lot of guano, so it looks like they have a nest there. That's definitely the nest there, a nest there, so I'll keep an eye out for the peregrines to return. At the fire pit, it's not just socks. There's white wipes and a few other things, and it's not just one sock, it's a couple. I'm going to throw this. I have a spare bag that I was going to use for fish crisp tossing fish. Obviously that didn't happen, so I'm just going to use it as a garbage bag, spare garbage bag, to bring out this other stuff. I sometimes hate people. Dehydrated chili. Prehydrated chili. So just had a beaver swim by the site just as I was making dinner, and it was made a big splash a couple of times now. Hopefully got some good video on the other camera. Well, I managed to get at least one good shot of the Milky Way, which I'll upload right about now. And unfortunately, my infolometer wasn't working correctly, and I didn't get the shots I was hoping for. I was hoping for a whole series of shots, and even though I did see some shooting stars, unfortunately I don't think I got any on film. So there's still always tomorrow, or if I get up early enough. Right now it's started to cloud back over, so there's no point in keep going tonight. Anyway, good night, and we'll chat with you in the morning. Well, good morning. It's 4:30 in the morning, and the wind has already picked up. So I'm going to get, well, it's good and low at the moment, but it's still crashing on the rocks, so I just want to make sure I get out in time before it gets too bad. So I'm going to pack up quick, grab a granola bar probably for breakfast, and then get going, because I don't want to risk trying to cross this lake when the wind gets really bad. So I've made it out onto the lake. It's 5:40 right now. I just want to get going, get across this lake. There's a little bit of a chop, but not much. But I'm not out into the open section yet, so anyway, keep going. Loons amaze me considering how dark it is, and they're fishing. I don't know how they can even see. Well, I just saw a couple otters, but they ducked under, and I don't know where they've gone. They wouldn't be down underwater still. I think they must have swam up onto shore and quietly got around me, because I don't see them. But they started barking at me, which is what they do. They're kind of cute that way. But keep my eyes open for them. So I'm back at Hogan now for the second load. It is a pretty little bay where the portage is. Got a couple loons out here fishing. But I have to get going and get the next load through. Another logging / service road. This one's well maintained, so this is still used quite regularly. This is in between Hogan and Manta. Manta Lake after the first portage. Pretty little lake. It's just unfortunate that it's almost 2 kilometers portage to get here. I'm out on Manta Lake. Gonna have breakfast now. I didn't bother before leaving site. So have a quick snack here, refill my water bottle while I can, because the next pond is more swampy than this. So this is somewhat clear water with my water pump. There's the next portage from Manta into Newt. It's only a 750, so it's not too bad. I'll hit that in a few minutes. Still have to pump water, so. So this portage also follows an old logging road, skidder road probably. It's wide, but you can tell because it ends up being gravel, not mud and dirt. So a good gravel base is a good indication that it was a road. So Newt Lake isn't really much of a lake by any means. It's just a tiny pond more than anything. And the next portage right there. And that one's a kilometer. So on to the next one. This old beaver dam, that's the only thing that actually makes Newt Lake a lake. If that ever just blows out, I'm sure the portage just becomes even that much longer. I could leave the canoe there, but it's also a good in place for someone else in case they come in the opposite direction. So it's always good to make sure all your stuff is up and out of the way. I'm going to move my bag back behind me and maybe put the canoe over here. That way it's out of the way of anyone else who might be traveling to this location. Again, another sign of a good portage. I guess that's my second breakfast. It's not quite time for 11s. Well, the rangers haven't been through here in a bit on this portage, or else this would have been cleaned up by now. It's been down a while, I think, based on the path that goes around it. So this is Catfish Lake. And at the end of it over there, I believe, is the outlet that goes out to the Petawawa River. And then I swing back around that point in the middle there. And that gets me out back into Catfish. So this portage wasn't bad, mainly because it's also the last one of the day. But it was fairly flat except for the last downhill section. So there isn't a lot of rise from the other side. Be a different story coming from this direction though. I forgot something. So right now I'm trying to find the channel that actually leads out of the pond that gets you back to where I need to get to onto Catfish. Not exactly clear at the moment. I think it's what's right in front of the boat now. Hopefully it's not too thick and overgrown and muddy. We'll just keep following the trail of lily flowers. That seems to be the best case right now. There are yellow water lily flowers as well. I'm not sure the difference between the two. I'm assuming there is a species difference, but I'm not sure. Made it out to the river. I thought when I paddled by here that this might have been the exit. I'm kind of surprised it is still so thickly overgrown. You'd think if people were traveling it would get cut into the pads more, but I guess not. If you were coming the other direction, going back into where I just came from, it'd be very difficult to find it. I'm sure lots of people have gotten lost trying to. So I'm back onto Catfish Lake, just cooling off right now. It's a hot sunny day and I'm just overheating a bit, so I'm just going to cool off here in the shade, refill my water bottle again, and then make my way up the lake. In that direction. Because there's a campsite up there that I'm planning on hopefully getting tonight to be closest to the first portage in the morning. That point just ahead, that's where the campsite is. So that's where I'm headed. Hopefully it looks unoccupied right now, but until I get there I won't really know for sure. Yeah, no one is here, so I'm going to take this site. There's a big band of rose quartz in through this rock here. Good place to go for a swim in a few minutes, I think. Well, the put-in's way down there, so you do have to make your way up hill to the site. But big perfect fire pit. And whoever was here last left a big stack of wood. Very nice of them. Again, I don't know if I'm even going to bother. I'll probably just use the tabletop here and use my stove. But back here, a couple nice size large tent pads. And I'm going to string my hammock up over in this area where it's shaded. But if there is a breeze, it's going to come off the lake from this direction, so it'll be nice. Well, it's too bad for someone. Somebody left their thermarest chair here. I just found it by the where I was loading up or unloading. So it's a shame, but it's nice having back support. I'll port it out anyways. I can't just leave it here as garbage, so it is. Hey guys, it's about 10 to 4 now. Sorry I haven't been doing much video this afternoon since I got to site. It's just been too hot. I've just been chilling out in the hammock mainly, trying to keep in the shade, and then just going for swims every now and then just to cool down even more. I just got back from one. It is extremely hot to the point that I didn't bother putting the fly over top because that would trap in even more heat, but it may have been an idea just for additional shade, but right now it's not too bad. So yeah, sorry, but just haven't been able to find anything and the energy to do anything more than get cool and then stay cool. So right now it is 5 o'clock and it is blazingly hot into my hammock right now, so I can't even sit in it. The sun chipped it obviously, and therefore it's too hot. So I'm sitting behind the campsite because the whole campsite is on a point and open to the sun with not much protection. I'd say it's at least 35 degrees out, probably pushing 40 with the Humidex. I don't know for sure, but all I'm doing is just chilling out and trying to keep as cool as I can, keep hydrated. I gotta go fill water shortly. I do apologize for some of the video that is out of focus from this morning. When you're shooting astrophotography, you switch the lens to manual mode. I forgot to switch it back to automatic focus this morning when we started out, so apologize for that, but hopefully the video is usable, or at least gives you a sense of what I was doing today. Thanks. It's 10 to 8 right now. I haven't had dinner yet. It's been so hot I haven't really felt like eating, even though I know I need to do so soon. So I was going to do craft dinner tonight, but a full box of that I think is too much even for me. Maybe when I was younger, not anymore. So I have Uncle Ben's rice. These are ones you usually typically microwave, which obviously I can't do out in the field. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boil some water, let the bag sit in it to warm it up, and then I have some other snacks and that I'll snack on as dinner. With the heat, yeah, especially with the heat today, it's just not feeling like eating very much at all. I don't feel like eating much when I'm out canoeing anyways, which is probably bad because you're burning up a lot more calories and you really should be replenishing them, but I just can't stomach it after a while. It's just too much, or just not enough food, or too much food just doesn't sit well. So after that, well, then there's still scotch and chocolate. As well, for heating up dinner, I'm not actually going to do anything. I'm not going to have a fire tonight. Again, it's far too hot to have one. When I solo camp, I very rarely have them, unless it's the shoulder seasons like spring or fall. I'd much rather just use the stove. Less hassle, one less chore to do in gathering wood. Even though like this site has a ton already prepped here for me, I'll leave it for the next people. It's just far easier to carry a stove, even though it's more weight to carry. I think on a long trip I can understand it, but for less than 5 days or 5 days or whatever this is, it's easy enough to carry fuel enough for that. So it's another crystal clear night by the look of it. Very few clouds, some wispy clouds, so it might not be so bad. So I've fully set up my camera now to be manually focused. There's actually a crescent moon that I could focus on, which was good, which is what you have to do is you focus to infinity, but with modern lenses there isn't an infinity stop, so you have to find it manually. Hence the reason why when I left it in manual mode last night and the video this morning was blurry, because it was still probably shooting to infinity. The local mergansers have taken up roofs just down from my site. That's the last of it. Time to go shopping. So it's 10 to 11. It's still very clear out. I got my camera going. It's taking shots every 20 seconds with a 20-second buffer, a couple seconds shot, and then back to the 20 seconds again. I know at least one shot for sure will have a meteor in it. I'm letting it go for another half hour or so until the battery runs dry, basically, and get as many shots as possible. Good morning, guys. It's day 5, final day. I have to get out to Cedar Lake this morning, or probably this afternoon by the time I get there. Right now it has gotten quite cool. It's the first time I've actually had to wear a sweater. So without the cloud cover, there's nothing keeping any of the heat. It's a clear morning already. I can still see some stars. So it's not going to stay cool for very long, I don't think. But I think the humidity is broken. I'm not as hot as I was even just yesterday in the morning at 4:30. Like I said, I put on a sweater for the first time of this trip. So yeah. So I'm going to get up, get some breakfast going and coffee, and then get out on the lake as quick as I can. I have a short paddle across the lake to the first portage, a small lake, and then a really long portage. The way I'm going to do the long portage is it takes me about 14 minutes per kilometer to hike with a pack and or canoe. So I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 15 minutes, carry the pack, drop it, go back, and sort of piggyback back and forth between the loads. That way I'm not walking the full 3-kilometer distance for the entire portage in one shot. So that will get me down to the Nipissing River. Then it's a long paddle out. In theory, I should see a moose because there's a place called Moose Lake, right? Anyway, so they'll continue on down to Nipissing. The only down the Nipissing to Cedar Lake. My only concern for the day at this point is if the wind is up on Cedar and I can't get across to where the put-in is, because it's a long, thin lake, so the wind whips down it, apparently. So, a little concerned with that, but we'll see when I get there. Talk to you. Pretty good. So again, I don't get this. This rope was here when I came. There's absolutely no reason why it should have been left here. It's not as if it was hidden on the ground. The other thing about this site that is quite extensive, maybe you can see it, is nails in the trees. Now I know the park sometimes will have a couple spots where they'll have nails, but who brings nails and a hammer? Well, I guess you just get a rock, but who brings nails camping? I don't get it. Alright, it's 5 to 7. Bit of a slow start this morning, but I wanted to make sure I fully packed up and got everything, including everyone else's garbage. But nonetheless, we're on our way. Bright and beautiful morning. So I'm at first portage. That was the Inukshuk I just took a picture of. And first portage is into Luckless Lake. Probably not a good spot to go fishing. So I made it to Luckless Lake, and right at the very far end I can see the next portage. Kind of kicking myself. I thought about doing this last night. There's a campsite right here at the end of the portage, but as I was booked for catfish, I'm supposed to stay on the lake I'm booked at. So there's a open campsite right here I could have taken and had one less portage for today. But again, I was supposed to stay on catfish, so I did. So this is the other site on Luckless, and it is empty as well. So I could have stayed here and would have had actually decent shots of the night sky. Somewhat, because it is treed over quite a bit, so may have been limited. But no one's here. And maybe staying on Luckless Lake on Friday the 13th would have been pushing my luck even further. It's probably hard to see, but I can't even see him right now. There was somebody along the shore there moving around a boat. Now I think it's probably a park staff, and it's probably a boat that they stash so they can do their rounds. I'm surprised he's actually not out on the lake, but nonetheless. There is an access road not too further along this portage, so that's probably how he got there. He's not anywhere near the campsite, so I don't think he's a camper. Pretty sure he's park staff. I do know they stash boats throughout the park for the rangers to be able to access, so they're not portaging them themselves. All right, 10 after 8, starting my first 15 minutes with the pack, and that should be roughly the first kilometer, and then I'm going to drop it and come back for the other ones. Or for my second load, rather. Here's the access road I mentioned. So, down off to the right is where that guy would have been working. Coming in from. And they cut the trees off, so this is still a used road, mainly for maintenance, not logging. If it was for logging, they would completely clear it. But we continue this way. Okay, this portage obviously is an old road as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they still drive down it for maintenance. If it stays like this all the way down, that'll be great. Okay, got to the 15-minute mark. Gonna leave my stuff here, go back for the canoe and other pack. Well, I've made it back to get the boat. Gonna have a quick drink of water. It's important to stay hydrated. As the least interesting man in the world says, don't stay thirsty, my friends. I've made it back to the pack, but I'm still feeling quite fresh. This has been a nice portage this way because it's all downhill. So I'm going to continue for another 15. Well, I've made it to drop number 2. Head back for the pack now. I have a feeling it's been so flat that I'm doing more than a kilometer per 15 minutes. So I'm thinking it's probably only another, at most, 700 meters to the put into the lake, or to the creek. This spot where it's been dug up, just off to the right here, is a pond. This would be a turtle nest. So it's either been dug up by something that's eaten it, or the turtles dug their way out. And it could be either snapping turtle or painted turtles. I know snapping turtles for sure dig in big nests like this. So most likely a snapper. I don't know if you can tell, but all these ferns and bushes pushed down might have been where a bear or some other large animal's gone into the woods here. All along this path is raspberries, so the bears would be making use of it for food, but all other animals would make use of this as well as an easy way of navigating through the woods. I'd much rather walk along that than through there, and so would the animals. Yep, that answers that age-old question. Yes they do. So that bear poop was at least a couple days old. I made so much noise coming through here earlier. I stink just because, yeah, I've washed my clothes, but not with soap or anything. So, and there's a good breeze blowing around, so my scent is being blown everywhere. Any bear smells that, hears me, is long gone. They're very rare issues where you have bear attacks. Now, mind you, I do not carry bear spray or bear bells because I make enough noise as it is. But any bear I've ever seen has immediately done a 180 and ran in the absolute furthest direction away from me. So I'm not overly concerned, but there is that risk. It's just a risk I'm willing to take. Made it back to the canoe. And again, I'm just going to keep going, still feeling fresh. It's been a great morning so far because it's nice and cool, light breeze. So I'm not sweating like I was the last couple days. So it's been kind of nice. It's a great portage today. Made it. I think that was maybe 6 minutes from where I dropped the canoe. So I was making definitely good time earlier today. This is actually a campsite you can stay at if you wanted to as well. So this rope in the tree must have been for somebody's bear hang from the campsite. I did try to get it down earlier. It's the knot that's right at the wedge of the branch won't let me get it down, so unfortunately I can't take it with me. I'm on Nipissing now. Still quite a breeze right now, so we'll see what happens when we get out to Cedar eventually, how bad it is. If it's this bad right now here, I don't know. It's 20 after 10 now, so I did that portage quite quickly, which I'm happy about. And I may try some trolling down here in the meantime as I go, just to see if I have any luck whatsoever. There are speckled trout and bass apparently in this creek, in this river rather. So we'll try, see what happens. I think most of the Nipissing, if I'm not mistaken, is like this, with tag alders all along the side of the river. Very difficult if you had to get out. They overgrow the water by quite a bit. I think the upper Nipissing, further west, is even worse because there'd be less water. You actually have to almost cut your way through it in late summer. Certain spots there's a decent amount of current that pushes you along, and the wind is mainly at the back, so moving along at a good clip. Campsites I've seen along the Nipissing are all like this, where you have to climb up a major bank just to get to the campsite. A little over halfway done, or halfway down where I had to go to down the Nipissing today. So I'm going to stop and fill up some water, redo my sunscreen, and then continue on. I have a little past this, there's a 250 meter portage, and then a little ways past that there's a dam. I don't know if it's a man-made dam or not, I'll find out. And then almost a 1K portage, which gets me down to Cedar. That's into a marshy bay is where it says it is, so at that point I'll make a judgment call whether or not I try to cross the lake or not. Yeah, there's the first 250 meter portage just to get around this little set of rapids here. Oh, something a little more significant. That's one of the biggest chub shiners I've ever caught. So, not exactly eating variety, but cool nonetheless. Now I can definitely say I'm not skunked. It's a little bit too shallow on the left. I don't like doing that. Maybe I should have stayed left after all. I guess there is a portage around that. Probably for people coming upstream though. Not so much for down. This is the dam that's in place in the portage on the right. This is the last portage of the day. So 1K roughly. So with a back and forth 45 minutes to get it done. It's 12:35 now. So we'll see what the lake holds when we get down there. Not exactly a fun takeout. So where I climbed up to get up over the hill, around the corner, and a nice gentle rise. Go figure. So this is the start of the portage from the south end, or the east end I guess. There's a nice little campsite just above here that you could stay at if you need to. Again, the portage follows an old road. Probably went up to service whatever dam was there. I didn't see signs of it, but I'll look more when I get up there. So that was the last portage of the trip, other than the one up to my car from the launch. So that was good. Now I'll just have to wait and see what the lake holds. So I've made it across Cedar. It wasn't as bad as Hogan or La Muir the other day, but it was still pretty choppy. So what I did, the exit is in and around this area just a little bit to the left. So I went across maybe a quarter of the way, and then went north, or rather west, into the wind on a 45 degree, but not paddling extremely hard. And as the wind would blow me, it would blow the back end of the boat to the right, which is the direction I wanted to go. So it was sort of like a cross ferry like you would do in a current of a river, but I used the wind and the waves for it. Got to the other side, couple hundred meters north of the point, actually a couple hundred meters north of the beach, Camp Beach, and made it around the point. And now I'm in the calm, and the cars are just around the corner here. So I'm going to go check out the portage store, or the Algonquin Outfitters store, get something cold to drink that's not lake water. This is downtown Brent. Absolutely nothing here, but I'm going to see if the store is open. Well, the store is closed apparently, so I guess I can't get a nice cold drink. That's disappointing. But what do you do? Couple of rough grouse. They're probably eating some of the gravel to put in their crop to help break down seeds. So that's why they're probably on the road. So in keeping with the theme of this weekend in meteors, this is the Brent crater. 450 million years ago, a meteor hit this part of the land, and since obviously it's been eroded over by glaciers and over millions of years of erosion, but essentially that whole edge of back behind there, the hill, is the edge of one of the craters, or the edge of the crater. And then there's the center hump in the middle, which is left over from the crater, from the meteor as well. So much bigger than the grains of sand that obviously I was watching last night in the meteor shower. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. I have a 4-hour drive to drop off the canoe back in Huntsville, and then still further on to get home. Hopefully you enjoyed that trip. If you did, like and subscribe to the channel, and there's more to come. I know I have a short weekend trip in September booked with a buddy or two, so I'll be filming for that. That's to the east side of the park, southeast side, and to Booth Lake. So again, thanks for watching.